Yes, as Pete said, I'm Chris Lowe. I run Bus Association Victoria, and I'm your chair for this next 45 minutes. The Queensland Government is a conference partner of this event, and I would like to acknowledge them sincerely for supporting this. This session has changed as per what is stated in the program. It was about women at work unlocking their potential, but we've retitled the session to be a bit broader. And as you can see on the screen, the session title is now Employment Issues That Matter, Women at Work and Employees' Health. Now, both of these are crucial areas of focus for our industry, but it would seem anecdotally that we're not doing as well as we should be or as we could be. So this session will be in three parts. My focus is going to be on women in our industry's workforce. Not that I know a hell of a lot about that. Once I'm done on that, we're then going to hear from Macca again on the project that also forms part of the ACCI's Productivity Leadership Program. And this project is all about the development of a health and wellbeing resource kit for bus industry operators to implement in the workplace. And it has involved some interesting research and a case study at Forest Coach Lines in Sydney. Once Macca's done that, I will then update you on some work that we have been doing at the BAV on the current state of the mental health of the industry. Now, I'm giving that third portion of this session presentation by proxy because Ingrid Ozols, who was to make that presentation, was unable to be here. Unfortunately, Ingrid had a dreadful accident just down here at Broadbeach after she hopped off the plane on Saturday, and she's now in Pindara Hospital, and so I need to give that presentation on her behalf. So on to the first item. There are a growing number of female employees in our industry across every sector and job type. The question is, are we doing enough to unlock the potential of the women we employ as an industry? Are we investing in their development? They're good questions. There is certainly an opportunity to look at specific initiatives to develop women employed in our industry. And as part of ACCI's Productivity Leadership Program, the BIC were funded 41 women to participate in the Emberin Women's Mentoring Program. 41's a big number. Now, the Emberin program is a structured 12-week program delivered in CD, DVD and workbook format and supported by webinars to support women to make their personal and professional lives better. The My Mentor program involved the 41 industry participants completing one module per week over the 12-week period. The models included things like Stop Procrastinating, It's Time for Action, Build a Plan, Your Strategy for Life and Career, Influence and Negotiate Win-Win Outcomes. So the Emberin program is one way to value add specifically to our female staff and their professional development. But are we doing enough to attract women to our industry? And once they are recruited, are we doing enough to keep them in your businesses and the industry? Recruitment, as we all know, is hard enough, and we spend a lot of time and money on this. But are you investing as much, however, in retaining your staff? Do you have a strategy that looks beyond recruitment and has a structured program of professional development that protects your investment in your staff, in this case women, to ensure they don't want to leave? Labour force data from the ABS tells us that as of 2012, in all occupations that we employ in our industry, female staff accounted for 25% of full-time workers and 21% of part-time workers. Women also accounted for 5.4% of full-time driving staff and 7.3% of part-time driving staff. So a quarter of our workforce are women, and this means if you are not already doing it, you should have specific focus on attracting women to the industry and on their advancement and growth to retain them as employees. Goldman Sachs Ware released a report entitled Australia's Hidden Resource, the Economic Case for Increasing Female Participation. And the report argues that instead of increasing migration levels, that an alternative source of highly educated labour is already at Australia's disposal. And with the right set of policy options, this pool of labour can be unlocked. It's an interesting concept. They estimate that closing the gap between male and female employment rates would boost the level of Australia's GDP by no more than 11%, which is a significant number. So it's clear that if we, as industry, only employ on average 25% of women in full-time work in the industry, there is a lot of room to tap into this potential by implementing recruitment strategies that target women, but more importantly, retention strategies that provide women, once employed, a clear path of professional development. The Emberin program is a small part of this. Something for you to think about in the context of having a strategic approach to your recruitment and retention. And I must say, I've seen some medium and large-sized bus operators with world's best practice, in what I consider world's best practice when it comes to retention strategies. The feedback from the women who participated in the program was all very positive and had a clear impact. And from the feedback received on building both their professional and personal confidence. Now, I think Felicity Dascombe from Purses Coaches and Stacey Scott from Punchbowl Bus Service are in the room today, both of whom participated in the program. And if I could ask one of you ladies to get on the end of a microphone, or if we can find a microphone to get to Felicity and Stacey, if I could ask you to give us an idea of how you found the program. I'm just not sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Felicity Dascombe from Purses Coaches. Firstly, it didn't give me the confidence for public speaking, so I do apologise if I fumble and that. But I work in a family business where for over 17 years now, and for me, there has never been an issue of gender or anything. If you work hard, show respect and that, you are rewarded with what you do. But the program was very interesting because I have mainly a business side with our business. It gave me validation in my beliefs as a woman. We think a bit differently. We don't always have that confidence to put forward our ideas to people. My father-in-law, being in the industry 35 years, sometimes you have to really get out there and push what you want and believe for your business and focus on that. So it made me more validated in what I believed in and that I was correct in my thinking and that sort of thing. Again, confidence. Understanding personalities, it put a different perspective. Some of the modules were tapped on this spots and stripes personalities. Once you understand personalities and how to work with them, it helps as well. Previously, I'd worked with women in pharmacy and things and had already been aware of this, but it was put in a better format in these modules. So understanding how different people work and how to get the best out of them through their different personalities. Renewed motivation in our business. Sometimes we get so busy. I have 3 young children trying to juggle their family life and the work and farms as well. It gave me more motivation and more interest again in our business. So that was just from my point of view. I did enjoy it, and networking with women across Australia in the same sort of industry. So thank you.
Thanks, Felicity. So when you came into the business, were you encouraged to do so? Was it always an option for you? Or was it something that you thought, that's something I can do later on in life, I just want to go and cut my teeth somewhere else first?
No, I was already working in pharmacy, and then for 7 years I worked in pharmacy and helped after work and weekends and, you know, cleaning buses after work, full-time work, and being from family, like my husband, it was his business, so, you know, whenever you could, you'd help out and things. And then once we had children, it became full-time work for the last 10 years. So, but I've always been encouraged to take part in the program. My husband, father-in-law, and any workers we have with us have always been supportive of anything you want to do that may benefit the business long term. It is a good program, and I'd recommend it for any other woman or men, because it's not just gender specific. So, yeah, anything that promotes either to, in the workforce would be great.
Right. You mentioned it's not the only business you have. If I understood you correctly, you've also got a farm. which is a common occurrence throughout the bus industry. A hell of a lot of my members in Victoria are not only bus operators, but they're also graziers of some sort, and they find that that bus income supplements what the family is trying to do in the farm business or the second or the third business as well. Are you finding that the skills you've learned from this course you're able to use in those other areas of the family business, not just the bus business?
Of course, yes. The modules and things are not specific to transport, they're specific to any work environment really, encouraging women to think outside the square, to push themselves, set new goals, new challenges with the farming. We set different goals all the time for that, although it's just a hobby farm, but yeah. But it does, encourage you to set more goals for yourself and for your business as well.
Thank you, Felicity. Could you thank Felicity for me in the usual way? Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Macca now, and then I'll be back to talk about mental health.
I get 2 gigs because I only got half a gig last time. Felicity, that was terrific. This is actually a good news session, and it's great to hear good news, isn't it, to see what BIC has been doing in relation to employment issues. And the circumstances I'm going to talk to you about is a very similar type of circumstance. This productivity leadership program was an initiative of the previous government. Funds were given to the then DEWA, the Department of Education, Employment and Workplace Relations, which is now the Department of Employment. Funds were given through to ACCI. BIC is a member of the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and BIC was able to secure funding to undertake a series of programs, their productivity programs, to improve productivity within the workplace. And obviously that initiative with the seminar and the role that Felicity did was a very positive thing in our industry. By introducing more of the women into our industry, it will make us certainly more productive. So where APTIA has got involved is through a health and wellbeing program. We have on our website a national IR and work health and safety guide. We're in the throes of actually producing a second edition of that, and we got funding for that. Part of that guide will incorporate a health and wellbeing project. This project has been outlined to you before. APTIA is very fortunate to have some strategic partners in Piper Alderman. It was remiss of me not to thank Piper Alderman Solicitors for being one of our strategic partners and providing us with all sorts of support during any 1 year. And of course we recommend our operators who need that sort of legal advice to Piper Alderman. But we also have a rehabilitation provider in a company called the Interact Group. Nikki Brewers was at our conference last year where she outlined the first part of our health and wellbeing kit. That health and wellbeing kit was looking at the actual health and wellbeing of our workforce, and one of the slides that she would have put up was this: why bother? Why are we bothering with it? And we are bothering with it because statistics show clearly that a healthy employee is 3 times more effective than a less healthy one, and that you can get up to 143 effective hours out of a healthy person than 49 hours out of a less effective person. And I think there would be nobody here that would doubt that a happy, healthy, motivated, safe workforce is one that's going to respond to you. And I've been fortunate in our industry to actually be associated with companies that do have that healthy, happy, motivated workforce. We did a survey about 2 years ago in 2012, and those operators who are members of BIC all supported the survey. The entrants, Redbus, who are here today, Transit Australia, who you know well, the Australian Transit Group from Western Australia, Benny Doolan, Greyhound, Bus Lines with Frank and the Ferrises. We had involvement with the Transport Workers Union because at the end of the day you've got to take the employee groups with you on these journeys, and BIC and Bus New South Wales were also part of it. We did a comprehensive survey and we did get some comprehensive results, and whilst today I don't want to talk about the results, and that's a little bit hard to see on the screen, but basically it noted that 18.4% of those that were surveyed indicated that they'd had some sort of bullying and harassment in their workplace, and I reckon that's probably about right. 14.8% actually said they'd been the subject of some sort of assault, and certainly if you look at the trade unions' statistics, which would be probably higher, that 14.8% is probably correct. In the survey, which is not up on that slide, 37.5% of the drivers said they'd experienced anger, and at least 12% of them said they'd had hostility levelled towards them. So, following from that survey, recommendations were made to APTIA as to what should happen, and what the recommendations were was that it was important matching any intervention to the workplaces and the workplace cultures. In other words, what the Interact group said was, okay, we've now got these stats, we really know what these stats were going to show, it's just confirmed what we knew, how do we actually address them? And the way that they sought to address them was to actually go into the workplace. And they also indicated that it was important to empower your drivers in this process. There's no point you as management trying to come up with solutions without having your drivers go along with you. And so what happened was I needed a bus company that would go along with this process, because it does take time and it does interfere with the normal running of their business. And Forest Coach Lines stepped up to the mark. They're an operation, for those who don't know, in the northern side of Sydney with about 160 employees, run about 120 buses. So they're sort of medium Sydney size type of bus company. So the Interact group sent their representatives. They travelled on the buses with them. They ate with them in their staff rooms, and they came up with what were conceived as practical steps to try to get this process going. And the whole idea was to try and create this happier, healthier, more motivated workforce by initiatives that the drivers and first of all, the drivers had to indicate what they thought they wanted, but also management, taking into account these things have a cost, management had to be prepared to go along with them. The process is that there is a 6-month trial being undertaken at the moment, and at the moment that trial is going along great guns, and at the end of the 6 months we will be able to assess the success or otherwise of it. What we got all the Forest Coach employees, remember they've got about 160, of which about 100 are sort of permanent casuals and permanents. Of those 100 employees, something like 95 of the employees filled out the survey. So the control test will be looking at the survey back then in July and then looking at the survey in December, and the intention is for us, APTIA, to launch its health and wellbeing kit in March at its national seminar in Canberra, which you'll all get wind of and invitations to, and I hope that some or all of you can come to them. So I just want to briefly just let you know the types of things that's going on there in Forest Coach Lines. As a means of trying to get people to be a little bit more active and walk more, they bought a whole range of pedometers. Pedometers are these things that you wear on your wrist and so forth, where you actually can wear them for a week or so, and the way these pedometers work, you just set up a system on your computer at work which automatically, when the pedometer goes near the computer, it registers how far you're travelling. So the drivers are participating by using the pedometers to see how much they are walking in any one day, and then seeing whether there's progression to more walking. And the way Forest management have done it is that there's a sort of a prize at the end of the day for those that sort of meet the highest percentage increase. So the whole idea is to give an incentive for them to actually do more exercise. The fruit box is pretty simple. You know, there's a fruiterer next door in their case, and twice a week a fruit box is placed in the staff room where staff can actually take a piece of fruit, take it with them on the bus, take it wherever they need to take it, but that's available to them. They're just small things, but what I can say to you, because my office is actually in Forest Coach Lines when I'm in Sydney, the the positive impact that this is having on their workforce is significant, and it's just these little things. The discounted meal one is fairly simple. What they've done is they've gone out to a lot of the destinations where their drivers get to their halfway point or their meal point, and they've negotiated with various outlets to provide cheaper lunches for healthier food to encourage the drivers. So the drivers then get a menu, they know exactly what they can get, what price they're going to pay to encourage them. Instead of when they get there to have a battered sav or some fish and chips, they might get a salad roll at half the price. So that's the discounted meals section. They've got a resident physiotherapist, and in every circumstance in your depot, it's not hard to find a local physio who's looking for work. So this physio comes into the depot at least once a week, provides some tips on their notice board and to any drivers that want consultation with the physio, and then that physio is available for those drivers if they need or have any ergonomic issues with their driving. This is all about keeping them at work, or if they go off work, to get them back to work quicker. One of the bigger issues that Forest are trialling are these employment assistance providers. This is a modern employment technique where individual companies provide assistance. So in Forest's case, a driver who's struggling, it could be for any number of reasons. It could be home life, it could be their mental health, it could be alcohol related, it could be a matter relating to somebody at work, it could be a myriad of things. That drivers are permitted to ring a number in which they get free counselling. The company pays for that free counselling. The company has the ability to control that free counselling. The company does not get individual results from that counselling, but what the company does each month, it gets a report from the EAP to advise them that there appears to be a bullying problem in the company, or there appears to be a couple of drivers who are struggling badly without names and so forth. So the company has a way in which they can address that as well. EAPs are a modern form of employment law, and particularly for the bigger companies, they are of significant benefit when all of these issues of bullying, harassment, unfair dismissals and adverse action against you, if you're taking positive, proactive steps for your workforce, you're miles in front of the system when it comes time for you to defend these matters. The other thing they're doing at Forest is every employee is undertaking bullying and harassment training, and they take it in the boardroom opposite me, and they've been running them systematically each week with about 10 employees at a time, and they're all coming out feeling so much better about how their system works and how you can address this bullying and harassment than if they haven't had it. The final thing they're doing, of course, is the notice board. The health notice board in their staff room is of great significance, because on there goes all of the notifications for the EAP, all of the notifications for when the training's on, all of the health tips, all of the discounted meal tips and so forth. So ultimately this will be a report that will come out for the industry, and it'll be something that APTIA will be endorsing for the industry. So the outcomes are fairly simple there. The completion of an industry health and wellbeing kit, which will provide benefits to employees and hopefully greater efficiency in the workplace. It'll be a model from which the industry can benefit and adapt to the special circumstances of their workplace, and it's an effective conclusion to the BIC-ACCI Productivity Leadership Grant, which will be launched at our national seminar in 2015. I'd be happy to discuss any of that with operators over the fullness of time if they want to sort of know a little bit more about it as we progress down the line. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Mako. I think that deserves a round of applause as well. Thank you. Right, so Ingrid Ozols was to give this presentation today, but as I stated earlier, she can't be here today, so I'm going to give it in her place. I will say at the commencement of this presentation that I am not a mental health practitioner, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so what I'm going to do is just present to you the results of the survey. I'm not going to pass any comment or judgment on the results at all. I'll leave that to you. So, all right, controlling this, aren't I? Okay. So last year, our safety regulator, Transport Safety Victoria, provided me with a chart of what we call notifiable incidents, which are the amount of incidents in any one year of incidents that have serious incidents that stop the bus service, where emergency services personnel needed to be called. So not minor incidents. And what we saw was a dramatic trending increase in the last 6 years of these notifiable incidents. And it got me thinking, and it raises a lot of questions about the impact of the mental health on the bus driver. And is anybody else affected by these assaults? What is the human cost? What sort of productivity cost do these come to the industry? Are there short-term effects, long-term effects? How common are they? How widespread are they, not just in our sector but in other sectors? To understand all these issues, the BAV partnered up with Mental Health at Work, which is Ingrid's organisation, and with their assistance, the Victorian industry representative body developed a 5-pillar mental health action plan. And the first pillar is all about research. There are 2 parts to this first pillar. The first part is to quantify the current state of the mental health of the Victorian bus industry, and those are the results that I will be presenting on in just a moment. The second part is why these assaults on bus drivers are occurring. We can all speculate, but the fact is we don't know. So we're going out to know why it's occurring, and the information that we are securing is very interesting indeed. But the overarching objective in our developing this 5-pillar mental health action plan is, quite honestly, to endeavour to increase the productivity of our industry. It's as simple as that. When the Victorian government buys most bus services, they typically do so through the BAV as the representative for the collective operators. So I need to have a good value proposition for them. We need to have good outcomes and we need to be productive. And any increase in the productivity of the industry on behalf of the collective is a good thing, which is why I have looked at this. Very quickly on the methodology, we developed a survey between January and April, and we sent it out to every single operator member of the BAV. Although there are a handful of non-members of the BAV, their drivers also completed this survey by default, because a lot of the operators in Victoria work together. They use each other's resources. Some drivers from one company might use the depot and the staff rooms of another organisation. So by default, some of those drivers who weren't sent the survey also completed it. And then Ingrid spent 25 days in metropolitan, regional and rural depots right through Victoria, helped staff complete some of the surveys, and she also gave unstructured assistance to some of the staff. All in all, we got just over 500 responses, which is a great response rate. A great response rate. We can do a lot with this data. Only 46 of them completed the survey online. The vast majority of them, 90%, completed the actual paper survey rather than doing it online and sent it in. And having looked at this, the numbers, this sample size is definitely sufficient for statistical analysis. And I'd like to thank all of the operators in Victoria for encouraging their staff to undertake the survey. It's a wonderful result. Very, very quickly on the demographics of the respondents, as you can see, 57% are aged 31 to 55 years, which confirms that we have an ageing working population. 89% of the respondents were male, 11% were female. 87% of the people who completed the survey were bus drivers. The remaining were undertook other duties such as yard hand, schedulers, admin staff. The average tenure in the current role is 9.2 years, and that is a great news story. That tells us that when it comes to retention, we don't have a problem. To stay 9.2 years with one employer in this day and age is a great figure. The next one's even better. The average tenure in the industry, 16.2 years. There are a hell of a lot of industries around the country that would be envious of those numbers. That confirms that we are very good employers. That once people are in the bus industry, they stay in the bus industry. It's one of our comparative advantages. So first cab off the rank is the average hours worked per week. Came in at 42.6%. Does this have an impact on health, well-being, productivity of the industry? The respondents selected their top 4 challenges in the workplace as being traffic congestion, pressure of on-time running, so 1 and 2 are related, obviously. The third top challenge was the types of passengers that they need to service. The fourth most significant challenge was road rage. And there are a long list of others, but we just selected the top 4. In terms of assaults on bus drivers, 19% said that they have been physically assaulted. 19% had also been spat on, and 7% had been threatened. How often would bus drivers encounter rude or angry customers who are abusive or aggressive? This is one of the limitations of the report. We didn't ask the question annually, and we should have. Nonetheless, there's just under 25% that experience a weekly aggression, or aggression on a weekly basis by bus drivers. Sorry, by passengers. 20% experience this aggression daily. The bus drivers' perceptions of why passengers are aggressive. So we're talking about perceptions. 10%, nearly 11%, of the bus drivers said that they believe passengers are aggressive towards them because of the ticketing system. And this is not a local phenomena. We've done a significant literature review on what drives aggression by passengers on bus drivers, including a very comprehensive report written by my colleagues at the American Public Transportation Association, and I think they produced like a 3,000 or 4,000 word document on how ticketing systems frustrate passengers and cause them to assault the bus driver. And they're right. Some people find ticketing systems frustrating and they take out that frustration on bus drivers. 38% of the drivers said their passengers were drug or alcohol affected. And there was also a percentage in there that some bus drivers said that the passenger had apparent mental health issues, but we took the view that the bus drivers weren't certified psychologists, so they weren't in a position to diagnose. Reporting of physical verbal abuse. 35% of the respondents said that they don't report abuse or assaults. And I must say, that figure is a little concerning if it's true. We're not talking about fact here, we're talking about perceptions. A lot of the respondents gave us answers like, what's the point? Why should I report it? What will my manager do about it? Be a waste of time. 35% is a significant number. It's enough to raise your eyebrows at. So I think it's fair to say that we would have to change the perception of some of our drivers, because some of them think or perceive us as employers to not care about their reporting assaults. Has your employer ever offered support? 62% of them said no. I'm not sure I can accept that. I know how good my members are in terms of being great employers. They are great employers, and I don't accept for a moment that 62% of their staff said they've never been offered support by their employer, by their boss. So I think this is about changing employees' perception. Unfortunately, 62% of your employees think that some of their managers aren't approachable. So we need to change that perception. What is the impact experienced by bus drivers from these challenges? The big one is obviously demotivation, as you can see, up to 70%. Just over half said increased sick leave or increased days off. That comes at a hard cost to your business. Just recently, the Queensland University of Technology did a study on the cost of absenteeism and extended leave, sick leave, and they brought it in at about just over $9,000 per employee per year. It's a massive cost when you extrapolate the numbers out. Something that we haven't done yet, but we will do so shortly. Others said, just over 30% said they'd like to change routes, and a similar amount said that they want to change their shifts. They don't want to go through that unfortunate experience again. We also asked drivers, the people who completed the survey, to tell us what their challenges were at home. As you can see, 60% said that this affects their personal fitness. Personal fitness and exercise is a challenge. Rest time and quality sleep is obviously a challenge. Healthy eating is a challenge, and personal finances are a challenge. This came out right through the survey. We saw a lot of qualitative answers saying that they would love assistance from their employees on how to balance the budget. There are quite a number of bus drivers who just didn't understand the concept of getting their pay each week, putting a small portion aside for either the mortgage or the rent, putting some money aside for the groceries, for the school fees, all the rest of it, and balancing the budget every week. It's all second nature to all of you as business managers and career professionals. But to some, balancing a weekly or a fortnightly or a monthly budget is a very difficult task, and this has come out right through the survey. Nutrition also came out in the survey. So we asked the question, is the work-home balance right? In terms of the impact on their home life, 58% said there is no impact, 42% said yes. And you can see that stress, anxiety, depression, headaches, stomach aches, feeling sick, weight loss or gain, and loss of sex drive were some of the common themes that came through in the qualitative responses. This is one concerning response. 28% of those who completed the survey said that they at times feel helplessness. 41% said that they often feel worthlessness, and 31% said that they feel hopelessness at times. We even had responses from people saying that they have had thoughts of self-harm or of suicide, and some even expressed thoughts of depression and anxiety. And these, of course, sorry, I put that around the wrong way. Depression and anxiety are all signs and symptoms which can't go unnoticed. So there is obviously an element of our industry that have a very low extent of self-worth, and knowing our obligations as employers, particularly in the OH&S legislation and duty of care, we can never be doing enough. So what strategies do drivers employ to deal with work-related challenges? 70% said hobbies, exercise, just over 60% said they go and talk to someone, but half of them said that they want to work, which is an interesting response. Some other issues that arose from the survey, not just on customer aggression, obviously raise questions on mental and physical health, the healthiness, drug and alcohol, assertiveness, having brave conversations, improving their communication skills, particularly with their supervisor. That's one key theme that came out of the survey. It also tells me that we might have a role to play in helping improve their personal resilience and their self-care, crisis management, financial literacy, their transition into retirement, came through loud and clear. There are a lot of bus drivers who have concerns, a lot of questions about how they can transition into retirement. And as I've already stated, nutrition came out loud and clear through the survey. So in summary and concluding, here's a great quote from someone who undertook the survey. "It's great our employer is finally looking at mental health issues and doing this exercise initiative," and that's great feedback. We are a great industry, and there are plenty of stats in there which confirm same. An average tenure, industry tenure of 16.2, I think it was, years, is a great number. We are great employers, we've got great tenure, we've got very high job satisfaction, and we are the envy of so many other industries when it comes to retention of staff. But we do need to continue to improve. We can't become complacent. We need to continually strive to implement initiatives that improve the mental health of our personnel. And as Macca said, if we can do that, our industry is more productive. And the final point I'd like to make is that whatever we do as a result of the learnings that come out of this survey, and we do have a lot of statistical analysis to do on it, we must do this as a collective. The whole industry should continuously improve together. So what works well in one depot should be shared. Let's not do this in silos. So the question that I will leave you with is, what are we going to do about this as an industry in terms of the results of the knowledge that this survey has presented or discovered? I have a hypothesis there which says, in the end, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide. But we recommend that we develop and implement and evaluate an industry-wide suite of tailored programs, resources, training and services to address all the issues that I mentioned just a moment ago. Now,